Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, and I know that you still have it.
That's too easy, that's the
Except here, I was paused at the
Sit there, so close.
You're right there.
I was planning on either one of those chairs are back there. Can't be.
Starlight, Independent, and the Two River Times, Metro Township, Middletown Township Municipal Building, and filing with the Township Clerk all on January 10, 2019. Committeeman Highbound. Here. Committeeman Sedambrino.
Here.
Committeewoman Snell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fiore. Here. Mayor Perry.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor our troops serving worldwide, defending our constitutions, freedoms, and way of life. Thank you. Our first item on tonight's agenda, we have a budget action item, Resolution 19-120, resolution certifying compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Committeeman Highbound.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry. Motion carries to pass this, adopt this resolution. At this time, we have the Chief Financial Officer's budget presentation.
And we're going to be introducing the 2019 municipal budget this evening. So I'm going to go through a few quick slides to give you some information on the budget. This is just a summary of the revenues and the appropriations. We're anticipating using $7,150,000 in surplus this year. We have local revenues, which are things like our fees and permits that we collect, our court fees, bank interest at $4,606,000. Our state aid is flat again at $6,052,688. Our UCC fees are the same as we anticipated last year, $1,850,000. Shared service revenue is at $450,300. Our grants, which are offset by appropriations, are at $124,532. And other special revenue, which are things like our pilots, some surplus items from other funds, things like that, are $1,807,018. Our receipts from delinquent taxes are $25,000. Our number is low if you look at it in comparison to other towns because we do an accelerated tax sale. So we don't have many delinquent taxes going into the following year. So we just have a very nominal amount, which usually represents things that are in municipal lien, which means delinquent taxes that were struck off to the municipality in the prior year. Our amount to be raised by taxation is $54,149,054, and the library's amount to be raised is $3,703,380, bringing us to a total budget of $79,917,973. On our appropriation side, the within cap is almost all of our, well, it is all of our operating budgets and things like our salary and wages and other expenses to run departments. In addition, statutory expenses, which are Social Security, pensions, things like that, those are also within the cap. Other operations are just things such as the library is in that number, the LoSAP contribution, those are things that are outside of the cap. The shared services, those are both the shared services that we provide and shared services that we receive, meaning things like our dispatch service that we receive from the county. We pay for it out of that line. Grants I've already addressed. There's a little difference between the revenue and the appropriation in that we put money in there in case during the year we need matching funds for a grant that comes along. We always put $20,000 in the budget for that. Capital improvements, that's money that we send over to the capital fund to help fund our bond ordinances as we do them, or out and out fund any capital projects or equipment that we might want to do or that we might want to purchase during the year that gives us the ability for that. Debt services are bonds and notes and loans that we pay during the year. The deferred charge is an item that was a bill that was from a prior year. We have to raise it in this year's budget. It wasn't something that could be charged to appropriation reserve, so it had to be raised independently. Judgments is an amount that we budget each year for any lawsuits that may come that we have to pay out on. And the reserve for uncollected taxes is what's called a non-spending appropriation. That's put into the budget to cover any taxes that may not be paid by the end of the year. And that would include the municipal liens that I already talked about that get struck off to the town at the time of the tax sale. If there's any questions, I'll move to the next slide. This is a pie chart which represents some major cost centers within the budget. As you can see, the largest piece of our budget are our salary and wages at 33.11%. Some other large pieces here are our insurance costs at 14.84%. Operating expenditures, this is for all of the departments, other than salary and wage, what they need to operate their departments. And debt service is another large piece. And then the next one would be pensions. We have our shared service agreements, our utilities, which is exactly what you would think it is, electric, gas, all of those kind of things. And then
6.90% for pensions and retirement.
yes,
Okay.
6.
The zero just fell off, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's what that, on the overall budget, that's what the pension cost represents. Any other questions? Okay. This is another pie chart. This is based on the 2018 tax levies because we don't have the levies for the other entities yet. But as you can see, this very large piece of the pie at 63% is what the school board levy is. So for every dollar of taxes that are paid, 63 cents goes to the school board. 21 cents stays here to fund the municipal operations. 12 cents goes to the county for the services that they provide. 2 cents goes to the library, and then one penny each would go to the municipal open space and the county open space. This is giving us a little summary of the changes in property tax from 2018 to 2019. The municipal levy this year is going up $1,046,000. The proposed tax rate is going down 5.13%, was at 0.489, and it's now going to be at 0.476. The impact on the average homeowner, that value changes from year to year depending on the overall town's valuation. So for 2018, the average residential value was $423,000, $427,000. In 2019, it's $444,180. So the annual impact on what would be the average residential is an increase of $43.74. That monthly amount is an increase of $3.64 on the average residential assessment. And this is just telling us that with the Monmouth County Assessment Program, these numbers, the rate, the impact, that is subject to change once appeals come in. It doesn't normally change all that much. Actually, it doesn't usually impact any of these numbers at all.
Colin,
Yes?
that proposed tax rate reduction is north of 2.5% lower.
Right, I believe it's 2.66% lower.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is a little summary that we did. We took the, again, the same kind of thing. We took the actual assessed values from 2018 of all the residential properties in town, and the assessed values for those same properties in 2019. We applied the tax rate from 2018 to the 2018 assessed values. We applied the estimated tax rate to the 2019 values. And what we found was that for over half of the town, 51.43%, they will either see no increase in their taxes or will actually be reduced. So over half of the town will either see a reduction or they will have a zero increase on their tax dollars. Then we have another over 11% of people that will see an increase of $25 or less. So that's, even though we showed the average residential value going up, over $40, you have a large portion of the town that's $25 or less or reduced. And then the remainder will see larger than $25.
So 63, roughly 63% of residential household taxpayers will see less than a $25 increase.
Yes. This may be a little difficult to see, but I wanted to demonstrate this. What we did this year was we took cost centers within the budget. We gathered together what the cost of having a police department, what DPW services cost. And we applied an individual tax rate based on the tax levy to each of those cost centers. And what we're hoping to come up with, or what we're working on, is a calculator that a resident would be able to go onto the website, put in what their assessed value for the year is, and they'll be able to see what each of these services costs them, and it should total what their municipal portion of the budget is, what their municipal portion of their tax bill is. We used here the average residential value for 2019 of $444,180. So someone having that assessed value would pay $532 for police. They'd pay $144 for the library, and so on and so forth with all of these items. And what we also hope to do is to give a little bit of detail behind each cost center, because something like LoSAP, for the average person, they may look at that and think, well, what is that? And that represents what's called the Length of Service Award Program, and that's for our volunteers in town. That's for our firemen and our first aid members. They earn so many points per year, and then they're able to get a contribution to a retirement fund for them. So to give them that benefit, it costs the average residential home $9 for the year to have, them have a benefit and to keep our fire and first aid, that's helped with recruiting and retaining those people to provide these services for the township.
That's great.
This, we did a breakdown of the residential versus commercial assessments and tax dollars. So on the left, it shows the total township parcels, which is 24,386. And the total residential is 23,789, representing 97.55% of the parcels in town. The total commercial parcels are 597, representing 2.45% of the parcels of the town. Now when you take it to the other side and you do the tax dollars, the proposed municipal levy, including the library, is $57,852,434. The residential tax dollars in the way that the assessments play out is $51,926,710, representing 89.76% of the tax levy, the tax dollars that are collected. The commercial properties will pay $5,925,724, representing 10.24% of the overall levy, the tax dollars collected. And the reason that I did this was I wanted to demonstrate the importance of having a mix of commercial properties within the township. Because although parcel-wise they're about 2.5%, they then take on a much larger burden of the tax dollars because their value is usually much higher than a residential value. So it does help to give a little relief on the residential side when you have a good mix of valuable commercial properties within your tax base. And then this is my last slide. And this is where I show that based on the statutory calculation, our energy tax receipts for this year should be $11,563,244. However, as I mentioned earlier, we are still flat, and you can see we've been flat since 2012, and that was after a decrease. So we're still at $6,044,933. And there is obviously a spreadsheet behind this where I do a calculation each year, and what I found interesting was, as I say at the bottom, since 2002, the amount the township has been underfunded totals $57,378,55. That's larger than the entire 2019 proposed municipal tax levy. So, you know, you can look at it in that way, and you can see how much money that the township and its residents have been penalized. They haven't received these funds that rightfully should be. And then even in a one-year snippet there, that's $5.5 million. You know, I mean, our increase this year is a little over $1 million. So, you know, it's just amazing at how much money that, you know, the things that we could do, whether, you know, obviously tax relief and things like that, if we were just getting what statutorily we should be getting from the energy tax receipts. And that is my last
We
slide.
didn't know the positive.
I always do.
Every year.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So at this time, we have the resolution 19-121, which is the 2019 municipal budget for introduction.
Motion to introduce.
Committeeman Tybell.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this resolution, and a public hearing will be held to be determined.
It's going to be the first meeting.
Okay, so public hearing will be held May 6th. 2019. On our agenda tonight, we have no action. Oh, did you want to do the presentation? Okay. At this time, we're going to actually do the presentation for Sandy Hook policy changes.
Just to introduce Steve McCarthy, if you don't know, he's a ranger at Sandy Hook.
Thank you, Tony.
Folks, on behalf of the National Park Service, I wanted to come out. We do have a major policy change in regards to alcohol and tobacco or smoking out at Sandy Hook coming up this summer. Over the past 42 years that the park's been in existence, we've allowed alcohol consumption on the beaches and within the park. Starting this summer season, we will be moving away from that, and we're actually doing a ban on open containers throughout the park. This has been a long time decision that we've been weighing to move ahead on, and after looking at statistical analysis over the past 5 to 7 years, we found that more than 70% of our arrests are occurring due to alcohol consumption or overindulgence to alcohol. Over the past year, we had 25 DWI arrests over the summer season alone. So we're moving in a direction to get away from open alcohol consumption, and from this point on, we won't permit the public to consume alcohol on the beaches or within the park area. We're following suit with everyone else along the shore where people are not allowed to consume alcohol on public beaches. what we wanted to do is make sure that we got out and we explained our policy changes to the local municipalities, particularly here in Middletown, because we are part of the township, to ensure that everybody has a heads up of where we're going here. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer.
Just a question, the smoking ban, that's consistent with what the state has just
Yes,
done?
we're staying with the state's consistency. The only place you'll be able to smoke is actually in the parking lots, which is consistent with what all the other places do.
I think based on your statistical analysis of your incidents, I think it's a very good policy change, and I support it, so thank you for.
I also think the lifeguards will be happy too.
Yes, they will.
I was a lifeguard there. It would have made me very happy to have it back then.
Particularly at a few beaches, where we do have those issues. But I want to thank everyone for your time, and I appreciate it. I've left a couple of fact sheets here, or I'll leave a couple of fact sheets so everybody can kind of get an idea of where we're going.
Pete.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, we appreciate you updating us very much, thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have no action items for tonight. Our first item is a public hearing on ordinance 2019-3252, bond ordinance providing appropriation of $1,707,300 for various capital improvements by and for the Township of Middletown and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $1,621,935 in bond or notes of the Township for financing part of the appropriation.
Any member of the public wishing to make any comments on ordinance number 2019-3252? Yeah, Mr. Watson.
Hi, my name's Don Watson, living at 1 Collinson Drive. I noticed that, we're going to be buying a fire truck, and you only have that rated to last 8.5 years or something in the ordinance. Don't they last a lot longer than that?
That's set by bond law. The average useful life is set by the statutes by the state, and that's just according to bond law what they assign the useful life of that. There's a lot of things that have a lot longer practical useful life, but bond law only permits us to assign it what's approved in the statutes.
And I think Chief Schweitzer and Deputy Chief Mount can attest that.
Yeah, the trucks we got now, they've been around for a long time.
Yes.
The truck we're replacing is about 30 years old.
Right, exactly. I was just curious about that. I think that's the only question I had.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Any other member of the public wishing to make a comment? Seeing no other member of the public, move to close public portion and approve.
Second.
Committeeman Heidel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on second and final reading. Our next public hearing is on ordinance 2019-3253, an ordinance amending section 84-10 of the Code of the Township of Middletown governing special duty assignments for police officers.
Any member of the public wishing to make a comment on ordinance number 2019-3253? Yep.
Yeah, hi, my name's Don Watson, living at 1 Collinson Drive. The increase in the fees for the special duty assignment officers, what is the increase is going to be used for? Is that going directly to the police department? Or is it just going into the general fund? Does anybody know?
Do you want to do it, Chief, or you?
Go ahead.
Okay, the increase is on both sides, so it's an increase to the rate that the police officers will be paid. Currently, most of the police officers are paid at a rate that's much lower than what they would get in normal overtime, so we're trying to make it a little more attractive for them. And then the increase on the administrative side, that does go into the general fund, but that's typically used to fund operations for the police department by buying equipment and things like that. It also offsets any employer costs for when we pay the extra duty money out to the officers.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Any other member of the public wishing to make a comment? Seeing no other member, I move to close public portion and approve.
Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt this ordinance on second and final reading. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee to adopt the consent agenda, which will include resolutions 19-122 through 19-130, including a raffle application for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the consent agenda. For our next regular meeting, we'll have certificates of proclamations, approval of minutes, public hearing on proposed ordinances. Actually, we'll have none because we have no. And then introduction of proposed ordinances if possible, and then a consent agenda. We had our discussion item as the presentation, and now we have Township Committee comments.
Committeeman Hybel.
I'm going to be brief. Just glad to see that we can continue to fund the fire department with new apparatuses desperately needed. Thank you for their support there. That's all I have.
Committeeman Hybel. Committeeman Sedambrino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to reserve the majority of my comments specific to the budget at the public meeting. However, I do want to commend the CFO and our administration for achieving a 2.66% tax rate reduction. That's just phenomenal with today's challenges. So thank you very much for your efforts, and we appreciate it. That's all I have for this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeewoman Snell.
I am going to reserve comments until our next meeting.
Thank you. Committeewoman Snell. Deputy Mayor Fiore.
I couldn't have said it better than my colleague, Mr. Sedambrino, so I'll have no further comments until hearing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will just echo the comments of my colleague, Committeeman Hybel. Glad that we were able to work with our fire department, thank you chiefs who are here. Appreciate your efforts and your commitment. So thank you. And with that, open up for a public portion. Any member of the public wishing to make a comment? Just before I call on anybody, please stick to the 5 minutes, your name and address before you make any comments. And at 4 minutes, I'll let you know that you have 1 minute left. Any member of the public wishing to make a comment? Going once. You look like you want to ask one?
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm here for a journalism assignment.
Okay. Well then, Don, it's all yours if you don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't think you want to hear what I want to say.
All right.
But thanks for the offer.
No problem. Seeing no members of the public, move to close public portion and adjourn.
Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn.